At my own brother's award ceremony, security stopped me. "Ma'am, you're not on the list." I'm Sophia Hayes. I'm 34. And I watched my younger brother Ethan smirk and say to his wife, "She should have married a real officer. All she does is push spreadsheets." They had no idea that my so-called desk job had just saved a SEAL team from a killbox ambush. They didn't know the truth, because it was classified. But today, they're about to find out. Because I'm not just here for his medal ceremony. I'm here for mine. Have you ever been dismissed by your own family, until the truth forced them to see you? Tell me in the comments. You're not alone. The young petty officer looked up from his tablet. "I'm sorry, ma'am," he said, voice polite but firm. "You're not on the list for Lieutenant Hayes." He showed me the screen. David Hayes, Margaret Hayes, Jessica Hayes. That was it. No Sophia, no sister. Just absence, loud, deliberate, and cruel. And right on cue, the black SUV pulled up. My brother Ethan stepped out in full dress whites, glowing like the family's golden boy. He saw me at the gate, saw the guard blocking me, and he smiled. Leaned into his wife and said loud enough for everyone to hear, "Probably just a paperwork mix-up. She should have married a real officer." I didn't flinch, but inside something shattered. My mother suddenly became fascinated with her pearl brooch. My father scowled, not at Ethan, but at me, like I was the problem for causing a scene. They walked past me like I didn't exist. No one vouched for me. No one turned back. I stood there, stone still, spine locked in place, watching my family disappear into the academy grounds like I was just a piece of forgotten luggage at the curb. The guard cleared his throat. "Ma'am, I'm going to have to ask you to step aside." I didn't argue. I just nodded once and stepped into the shadows. Not because I was weak, but because something inside me had crystallized, cold, clear, and final. Let them believe their lies, because the truth was coming, and it was wearing 2 silver stars. My family thinks I push paper. They picture me in some beige cubicle, battling paper jams and Excel formulas. What they don't see is the tank. A cold, windowless chamber buried beneath layers of Pentagon security. One wall is nothing but glowing maps, satellite feeds, and heat signatures. My battlefield. The night before Ethan's ceremony, I was in that room, directing a live hostage rescue in the Red Sea. 12 civilians trapped on a hijacked oil tanker. A SEAL team minutes from boarding. My voice was calm, clear, decisive. "Viper 1, hold. You have secondary movement approaching from stern. Unmarked vessel. 6 heat signatures. Likely ambush. Abort breach." That call saved their lives. And one of the SEALs on that op? His file showed prior deployment under Lieutenant Ethan Hayes. The irony? While I was preventing his men from walking into a kill zone, Ethan was texting me. "Hope you're enjoying DC, sis. Try not to work too hard on those spreadsheets." He had no idea. None of them did. Because I never told them. Because secrecy wasn't a burden. It was the job. I'd accepted that years ago. Until that morning at the gate, when silence didn't feel like strength. It felt like erasure. But change came unexpectedly, 2 days later, in a quiet office overlooking the Potomac. General Miller poured me a cup of coffee, looked me straight in the eye, and said, "You saved 12 lives. The president knows. And now, it's time the world did too." He handed me a folder. Inside, the declassification order for Operation Blackwater. My masterpiece. My proof. My legacy. And then he said, with a smile sharp as strategy, "Your brother's ceremony is next month, isn't it?" I still remember the 4th of July when Ethan got into the academy. Dad threw a backyard barbecue like it was a national holiday. Retired officers, neighbors. Sheet cake with "Congratulations, future Admiral" in blue frosting. The whole world revolved around him. That same week, I won a National Science Award for an encryption algorithm. I handed the medal to Dad like it meant something. He didn't even lower his newspaper. Good job, sweetie, he mumbled, then went back to planning Ethan's training schedule. That's when I learned, in our family, only one kind of service mattered, and I didn't wear the right kind of boots. So I stopped trying to be seen. Until now. Until that moment at the Naval Academy gates, when General Miller's government-issued black sedan pulled up. He stepped out in full dress uniform. His 4 stars caught the sun like fire, and he looked straight at me. "There you are, Admiral Hayes," he said, loud enough for the whole gate to hear. We were about to send out a search party. Admiral Hayes. The guard's face went from confusion to panic in 0.2 seconds. He'd almost denied entry to a rear admiral. The gate flew open like it feared for its career, and as General Miller gently guided me inside, his voice lowered just enough for only me to hear. "Do you want me to have a word with them?" I glanced toward my family. Frozen. Staring. Unblinking. "No," I said. My voice was steel. "I have a feeling they'll figure it out on their own." And we walked right past them, me in full uniform, 2 silver stars on each shoulder. Let them choke on the silence. Because for once, it belonged to me. They gave Ethan his medal first. He walked on stage like a prince returning from war. Thanked our parents, his commanding officers, and Jessica. Not a single word about me. Not a glance in my direction. The erasure was complete, until General Miller stepped up to the podium. "We have an unscheduled addition," he began, voice low and thunderous. "For reasons of national security, this recognition has remained classified. Until today." The room shifted. Curiosity, confusion, tension so thick you could slice it with a bayonet. And then he said it. "Rear Admiral Sophia Hayes." Time stopped. Gasps. Whispers. And then like a rising tide, every uniformed body in the room stood. Every. Single. One. Except for 3. My parents and Ethan sat frozen, like statues carved in disbelief. I rose and walked to the stage. No hesitation, no apology. General Miller pinned the Distinguished Service Medal to my chest and leaned in. "Time to tell your story, Admiral." And he did. He told the entire auditorium about Operation Blackwater, about the civilian lives saved, the regional war that never happened because of decisions made in a cold underground command center. He ended with this. It was Admiral Hayes' intelligence team that prevented a U.S. destroyer from a catastrophic ambush in the Persian Gulf. I turned my head, met Ethan's eyes across the crowd. He knew exactly which destroyer. His. And I watched the color drain from his face. He wasn't the only Hayes who had served. He just never imagined the sister he dismissed was the one who saved him. The applause roared, but I didn't hear it. What I heard, what mattered, was the silence from my family. The kind of silence you get when someone realizes the world isn't what they thought. It wasn't revenge, it was recognition. And that was always what I wanted most. 6 months later, I walked into my parents' living room. Against the far wall stood a new glass display case, handcrafted cherry wood. Inside, their medals, my grandfather's flag, Ethan's commendation. But in the center, eye level, my Distinguished Service Medal. And beside it, a photo of General Miller pinning it to my uniform. "He built it last month," my mother said softly, setting down a plate of cookies. Said it was time the Hayes family display told the whole story. That night at dinner, no one bragged, no one compared. Instead, Dad cleared his throat and asked, "Sophia, how do you manage interagency politics at that level?" Must be like herding sharks. It wasn't a performance, it was interest. Later, on the old porch swing, Ethan sat beside me. "I'm sorry," he said, eyes fixed on the dark horizon. "It was never about you. I just needed to be the hero, to feel like I mattered." I smiled, not out of superiority, but because I finally understood. "I spent years thinking I needed this family to approve who I was," I said. "But the truth? My worth isn't something you give me. It's something I carry. He nodded slowly. I'm proud to be your brother. And for the first time, I could say it back, with peace in my chest. I'm proud to be your sister. Because this wasn't just victory. It was liberation. If you've ever been dismissed, erased, or underestimated, this story is yours too. Drop a key in the comments if you've ever had to unlock your own worth. And subscribe to Echoes of Life for more stories of silent heroes who finally get heard.